Hi, and welcome to Learning with Your Dog, Viva Foundations, our online classes for puppies and adult dogs. I am Vivi Meislik Jorgensen, and I am the owner of Viva Paws Training and Behavior, and I'm also going to be your trainer or coach. I'm going to jump straight into this because we have a few things to go through. This, of course, is the orientation video that I need you to watch before you can start class. All the slides that I'm now going to share with you right here, of course, are all going to be sent to you. There's a nice sunset right there. Let's see right here. Let me get in here. There we go. Yeah, so of course all these slides that you'll be seeing on here will be sent to you, so you can print them out or whatever you want to do with them. So our puppy class, sorry, it's not a puppy class, it's a foundation class, and this is the great thing about doing this online now is that it's not strictly a puppy class and it's not strictly an adult class. Because we're not meeting in person, normally you would have a puppy class and an adult class, but here it's from 8 weeks old and all the way up to senior years, whatever. If your puppy hasn't learned or hasn't been trained before, or your adult dog hasn't been trained before, this is the class for you. All right. So as I said, my name is Vivi. And I am a Karen Pryor Academy Certified Training Partner, which is what KPA-CTP stands for. And basically that means, that means that I have a very good education behind me, one of the best in the industry, actually. Karen Pryor herself is a very well-known author and biologist. And she started training marine mammals in Hawaii in the 1960s with a clicker type device. Clicker training is based on positive reinforcement training, and that again is based on the scientific principle that behaviors that lead to a positive or a pleasant consequence is likely to be repeated. And so the clicker itself, this is the clicker, and of course you guys will all receive your very own clicker plus a treat pouch. The clicker itself is a marker. It marks to the dog exactly the moment the puppy or dog offers or responds to a cue or offers a correct behavior. And it is marked like this, with a click and then a treat. As you can hear, this sound is very unique, it's very distinct, and it is very precise. It is so unlike anything else your dog hears in his or her environment. So therefore, it's more effective to use a clicker when training than a word, because our words, if we're using a word like yes, for instance, as a marker instead, which you can do, the marker itself, the sound of your voice is very prone to be affected by your emotions. I mean, you might be tired one day, yes will sound like one thing, and another day you might be very enthusiastic and it'll sound like yes. And so the tonation of your voice will always be different, whereas this is always exactly the same. The dog learns that when this has been paired with food, that every time he or she hears this click, there's a reward coming right up. And so why do we train with food? We do that simply because it is, to most dogs, the highest motivating factor. Dogs have to obviously eat to survive. They're used to working to find food out in nature before they ever came into our homes. And so they're motivated when there's that reward at the end of it, they're more motivated to perform the skills that we want them to do. And just like we're motivated to receive a paycheck for the things that we do, dogs luckily don't charge as much as we do, so they're happy with just a little treat. And so in positive reinforcement training, we do not use correction, and nor do we use punishment. And this is simply because scientific studies for decades have proven that it is not necessary to punish or correct your dog in order to teach them right from wrong, so to speak. What is important is that you reward the good behaviors, because by doing that, let me get my little pointer here, by doing that, you are providing a positive consequence for an action, and so therefore, according to this scientific principle, that behavior is more likely to be repeated, as you will also see as we go through the class. If you have to punish or correct your dog, you have to be absolutely sure that you do it in the exact moment the bad behavior happens. If it happens a second or two later, it is too late, and your puppy or dog will have no clue why they're being punished. All they know is that they do not like the sound of your voice when you're harsh or you're shouting, and so therefore, because the consequence of their action right there is not very pleasant, they will tend to not repeat that behavior when you're around. So if they, for instance, like chewing on the furniture, they will probably, if you use that tone of voice or correction of some form, they probably won't do it when you're around. However, when you're not around, they'll be having a ball engaging in this behavior, because there's no bad consequence. It's only positive consequence. It's quite enjoyable chewing on the furniture, because they're having a great time and you're not there to correct them. And so therefore, we do not allow any prong, shock, choke, e-collar, or any type of correction, or even using a word. We do not use no or stop, because first of all, no is not a behavior, and the dog, again, doesn't understand English, so they don't understand. They're just reacting to the tone of your voice when you're using these words, not because they know they've done something wrong. This brings me to how puppies and dogs learn. And basically, they learn in two ways. They learn by association, classical conditioning. You may be familiar with Pavlov's experiment. And they also learn by doing, which is operant conditioning, which was coined by B.F. Skinner, I believe in the 1930s or 40s. And they learn by repetition. This is why we repeat in training. We repeat a lot, because that's how dogs learn. They also learn by watching our body language, and their eminent body language watches. Every little tiny changes in our body language can affect how they understand or don't understand a cue. This is why often dogs, according to owners, only want to listen when they're in the mood, or when they want to, or whatever. And it is simply because there might have been a little change in your body language as you gave them the cue one time, and then when you gave them the cue another time, your body language, your body posture was different at that moment. So any little change in your body language can affect how a cue is perceived by the dog, and whether or not they understand the cue or command. We will go into that over class, so you will get an understanding of this. And so puppies, from the moment we get a puppy home, everything that we do around our puppies, is forming or is formed by associations, so that they quickly learn how things pair together. If we pick up the keys, they quickly learn that means we're going out the door. If we pick up a leash, they quickly learn that means I'm going for a walk, and so on. And so when before they start operating on their environment, or rather when they start operating on their environment by doing, they quickly learn that their actions have consequences. And so they quickly learn from the consequence of their actions whether something is safe for them, good for them, dangerous, bad, or whether something is neutral. And so when we introduce the clicker for the first time, it will be completely neutral to them. It will mean absolutely nothing to them because it hasn't been paired with anything yet as an association. Once we pair the clicker with a treat numerous times, the dog begins to learn that when I hear a click, it means a reward is coming up. So the dog learns that when I hear a clicker, the consequence of my actions, if I do what I just did in that moment, the consequence is that something good is going to happen. I'm going to get a reward. If, for instance, we're introducing them to a prong collar for the first time and they haven't had any experience with a prong collar, they quickly learn that, well, at first it will be a neutral, again, a neutral object. It will mean absolutely nothing, but once it's been put on their neck and they have felt that pull or pain on their neck a few times, they begin to learn that this is not a nice thing. This prong collar, whenever they see that being taken out or whatever, it means that something bad is going to happen to me if I don't do as what is being asked of me. And so therefore, a dog, a puppy's world view, so to speak, everything that they do is based on whether something works for them or not. They will continue to repeat behaviors that work for them, that get them things that they want, things like food, attention, any other sensory stimulation, anything like that. They will continue to repeat that behavior if it gives them that positive consequence. If, however, they don't get what they desire, any of these things like access to food or the outside or toy or whatever, if they're not getting what they want from a particular behavior, they quickly learn that this does not work for me, so therefore there's no point in repeating this behavior. Okay. Briefly, our curriculum for this class is that it's a six-week class, and we meet every Saturday at the same time on Zoom. And each Zoom lesson consists of almost half and half training and practice, and the other half is problem solving, where we discuss different ways to solve different everyday problems. And we will relate them to things that we learn throughout the class, of course. I, as a trainer, will either demonstrate on my dog for each skill, or I will have a pre-recorded video that I will be sharing with you guys. You will then take turn in practicing live and, of course, receive lots of positive reinforcement feedback from me. If you prefer to just watch and learn, you're not too comfortable about practicing live in front of everybody, that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can then, after the lesson, that particular lesson is finished, and you practice that behavior that we did in class, you've seen how everybody else is doing it, you can then practice it, record it on a video, and send it to me either privately or share it on our private Facebook group, which you will all become members of. And I certainly encourage that you use this Facebook group as much as possible. Upload all your training videos to there, give lots of feedback to each other, and just cheer each other on. I, of course, will also give you guys feedback in that group. Then we have our homework, our course platform, which is on something called Trello, and I'm gonna show that to you right now. Actually, let me see. It looks like this, and it's an absolutely, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a fantastic platform to use for something like a class. In here, you will all get a link to this particular foundations board, as it's called, where you can then go in and you can see these are all the things we're going to be working on in this class. Under each of them, it will say, first of all, like here, that this particular topic is being talked about in week 1. And over here under the skills we're going to be practicing, just notice that there are, you sometimes might have to scroll to get more of it. You will there see what classes are we doing this particular skill in, and then when you click on it, you will see that for each, once you're all set up, each one of you will have, instead of criteria, it will say your name, and each one of you will have to click whether you attended the class or you didn't attend the class. There might be other instructions in this particular excuse me this particular one that you're going into. As you can see, when you look at these here, there's three things to look at in here. You might have to tick off. There might be some comments in there. Comments will be up here, descriptions will be up here. Sometimes it's a lot longer than that. So this is where, once you get the link to this, this is where your homework is. This is where you will be locked into this. So we're giving each other feedback, and I can track your progress. I can see when you're working on a particular skill, how far, and so on. And it's a very interactive platform, so it's absolutely fantastic. Let's get back up here. Excuse me. Oops, there we go. All right, so then there are several bonuses to our classes, and one, of course, is that you will have lifetime membership to our Facebook group, our private Facebook group. Sorry, if you're not on Facebook, of course, you will miss out on this great opportunity, which is a shame, but you may consider if you want to be a member or not. You will also receive an invitation to an informal 30 minutes meet and greet with fellow students and me, of course, prior to the class. Excuse me, where we can all see each other and just a brief introduction of everybody, just to get to meet and before we start class. I think that's a great way to to see who's in class and hear a bit about everybody, why are we here, and so on. And then, of course, all our live sessions will be recorded and sent to you for review, which is a great benefit. If you, for instance, can't attend a class 1 week, well, then at least the recording will be sent to you, and you can go in and see what we were working on, and then thereby you are not missing out. You can just continue. And of course, afterwards, if you couldn't attend the class, all I ask is that you work on the skill after, and that you send me a video of you practicing with your puppy or dog. Excuse me. You will, of course, receive your own clicker and treat pouch, as I said. Okay. So we have 2 class themes for this course. One is that I encourage you to reinforce calm behavior in your puppy and dog anywhere, at any time, whenever you can at home. Teach your dog, a puppy, that calm behavior is the way to go. With calm behavior, you will get everything you want. So for instance, teach your dog just like we're teaching our our kids to be polite. We can teach our dogs to be polite, and for them to learn that, for instance, uh, before you get anything that you want, I'm going to ask you to sit. So before you get your food bowl, I'm going to ask you to sit. Before you get to go outside, I'm going to ask you to sit. Before I put your leash on, we're going to go for a walk, I'm going to ask you to sit, and so on and so on. This also helps dogs because they need structure, they need rules in their lives in order to be able to predict the outcome of their actions. And this way they can learn once they get the, the, the rules set up or the structure. Once they learn this, they could, they learn that if I do this, when I'm being asked to do this, oh, wow, I get to go outside. That means I can go out and have lots of fun, and so on. And then throughout the class, we will identify scenarios where problems arise in your home and so on. And together we will find solutions, and we will, of course, relate these solutions to everything that you learn in this class so that you can get a, a whole picture of why the course is being put together the way it is, and also so that you learn how to problem solve on your own and in the future. In this class, which is very unlike any other puppy adult classes out there, you will learn, both you and your puppy or you and your dog will each learn 5 foundation skills. You, the human side of the equation, will learn clicker mechanics. You will learn to use reinforcement instead of correction. You will learn how to shape a behavior, how to cue a behavior, and you will learn how to be a better observer of your dog and your puppy. This, of course, is a foundation course, so regards to shaping and shaping a behavior, you will only learn the very basics. But you're very welcome to continue in our next class, which is a continuation of this, where you will learn more. You will learn how to build distractions, duration, and distance in the class that follows this one. And therefore, you will learn how to shape a behavior more so. And here you'll get a taster for it. Your dog or puppy will learn to give attention to his or her handler. He or she will learn to offer behavior. This is what is so great about positive reinforcement. We are not demanding our puppy or dog to do something. I'm not demanding you to sit or else. It's not a threat. It is, I am encouraging you, I'm giving you a cue. Once the cue has been learned and implemented, but we are encouraging our puppies and dogs to offer behavior voluntarily, voluntarily, simply because it's fun and simply because I get something out of it. I get a reward. I get a closer bond with my handler, stuff like that. So in clicker training, dogs become very enthusiastic and they gain confidence because we are working in a framework, and this is both for the human and for the dog. We are working in a framework of positive reinforcement where we are not criticizing, we are not correcting, we are simply encouraging and reinforcing the behaviors that we want to see more of. That is basically what the click means. When I click, it means what you just did in that moment was correct, and a reward is coming right up. It also means what you just did in that moment is what I like to see. I like to see you doing this, and I would like to see you repeat this behavior again and again. And so the dog puppy will also learn how to respond to a cue. They will learn targeting, and they will learn impulse control, self-control, which is so important. Um, Here's something about what to bring to class and how to prepare for class. And as I said, these slides will be sent to you, so you will have all this information in writing. And you can also go back and watch this orientation video, of course, that's whichever you prefer. But this is all specifying what you need to do before class and what to bring for class. One little thing about treats. The important thing is, excuse me, is that the treats are tiny, tiny, the size of a green pea or an M&Ms. Your dog will receive lots of small treats, so therefore it's important that they're tiny. Here are some suggestions for high value treats, and I'm just going to share this little video with you just to show you, excuse me, how to prepare for a training session. For instance, if you're using hot dogs like here, how you can get lots of tiny treats out of it. Let's just watch this right now. Okay. I don't know why I can't watch that. There we go. That was strange.
Okay, so how to get some high value.
Let's see if we can do it now. Sorry about that.
Okay, so how to get some high value treats for your dog. There are many options: meatballs, boiled chicken, hot dogs. In this case, I have a hot dog. No matter what you choose of high value, there's also cheese sticks that work very nicely with dogs. What you want to do is that you want to cut the meat or whatever you're using into very tiny pieces, the size of a green pea or an M&M. So what I've done here is I've already cut 1/2 of the hot dog into 3 slices like that, and you can cut it this way, and then you can get little tiny pieces like this. There we go, that's 1/2, and then the other half as well. So just cut it lengthways like this, and then again this way, and just cut it into tiny pieces. That way you have a lot of high value treats for your dog. So when you're training, all you need, is this little tiny piece, because your dog is going to get lots of reinforcement, lots of treats in a training session. Then you can put them in a plastic bag, and if you want, you can freeze them. You could cut up a lot of these and freeze them so you have them for whenever you're doing the training sessions. That's the way to get some high value treats.
All right. And then we have a little bit about training sessions. I'm not going to go over all of this right here because I don't want to bore you to death. But you can read all of this yourself in the slide that I'm sending to you, or you can go back and just pause the video and have a look at it yourself. But basically, what it is that in each training session you'll be doing on your own at home with your puppy or your dog, since neither of them probably have been introduced to a clicker before, for one thing, and maybe they're not used to any kind of type of training either. Well, then you will only practice each session for, if it's a very small puppy, from 7 or 8 weeks to 12 weeks, well, about 3 minutes per session, and over 12 weeks you might be able to squeeze 3 to 5 minute sessions in. It all depends on your puppy and dog. The important thing is if your puppy or dog becomes or seems distracted, it's usually a sign that you may have to up the value of the reinforcement. One thing I didn't mention yet is that in your training sessions, always start with a low value treat first. A low value treat could be their dry kibble. You can start with that first. If it works for your puppy or dog, if they're motivated to work, you can continue with that. But if they're losing concentration or get distracted, you may have to up it. Then you can go up to another bit nicer, smelly treat, or you can go into human food like cheese in little tiny pieces, hot dogs, stuff like that. It just means that you might have to. So always have a excuse me, a variety of treats ready so that you can up it a little bit at a time. Start with the lowest value first and then go up. We'll go over more of this in class, of course. um, and then just some class rules. Don't mind the signs here. I like some of these. But we do ask that everyone in the class will practice the principle of positive reinforcement, both for dogs and for humans. So in other words, for our dogs, of course, we will reinforce what you want to see more of, and you will ignore the bad behaviors. Um, and that applies to our fellow students as well. Be respectful of everyone in the class. We all have different learning curves, both dogs and humans. Some learn quick, some learn take a little bit longer. We all have to get there, and we all want to feel that we're in a class or in a framework where there's room to make mistakes without being laughed at or without being corrected or ridiculed or anything like that. We're not doing any of that in this class. I encourage you to be kind, be positive, and be compassionate so that we can all get through this class successfully. Okay, that was the end of this orientation video. And if you have any questions before class or even during class, you can send me a text message, you can call me, or you can email me. All right, let's stop sharing the screen here. And all I have left, oh, sorry. All I have left to do is say, I look very much forward to seeing you and your puppy or dog in our class, Viva Foundations. Hope to see you real soon. If you have any questions, you can contact me. See you soon. Bye.